What is going on, everybody? Welcome to MLB Live Before Lock, presented by Stokastic. I'm, of course, Eric Lindquist. You can follow me at Eric Lindquist. And he is, of course, right underneath my head. There's a joke there somewhere. At Chris Spags. That is definitely my dude down there. He makes me happy down there. How you doing?
Excited to be here. It was a nice weekend. Happy Mother's Day to all the many moms watching the Stokastic channel here on Monday. But excited to be back here. It's a fun slate. I think we have some very obvious bad pitchers, which the Sims will at least give you one of them heavily in stacks. They have some very obvious good pitchers as well with pretty good matchups in front of them. Spoiler alert, Michael King being one of those guys. So we'll talk about him a good amount here. But I think it's a fun slate. And I know Eric had some good thoughts about the slate as well. I was excited to get them out. So excited that you're on a hot spot to do it, because that's how hot your takes are, is that you have to be on a hot spot.
Yeah, that's what it is. Also nice for everybody involved. I'm looking at the comment section, and only the comment section over there. Yes, you heard what I said, El Negro Loco. You heard it. Did I stutter? No, I did not. I said what I said. These are the Eric Lindquist and Chris Spags show. This is how we bring that hot, juicy excitement to the MLB streets on a day in, day out basis, or on a tri-weekly basis.
Yeah,
I mean,
we're like a tricycle here. Yeah,
we're bi-weekly.
Buy to try. So you got to try to buy. You got to buy to try.
You always got to try the goods out one time before you buy. Don't know. That's why they give samples at the grocery store. What do you think I was talking about, Spags?
No, I mean, that makes sense. Costco, I thought, was really where my brain went.
Anyway, but today there's a special promo code. I don't know what that is, but definitely click on Emac's article, because he's been writing. Back in the day, we made him chisel his fantasy plays into the stone. These days, it's a lot easier with the old interwebs, or theoretically, unless you're like me, in which case you're on your phone hotspot, which is apparently working at the moment, and crystal clear and better than normal for whatever reason. So here we are. Good to know. Riddle me that. Let's get ourselves into this slate, though, Spags. Well, also go follow Splash Play. Splash Play is just going to be banging with some best ball in its white tee very, very shortly. And you just happen to be wearing a white tee, and it made me happy. So
this channel tomorrow, actually, the debut of my DraftKings best ball streams coming up at 3 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, exciting times. Best ball season's going off. People already tremendous controversy. The Lowell show covering, there's a product out there. Real-time assistants are a battle and that. But, it doesn't matter. It's all lottery ticket. We'll have the most fun we can making lottery tickets tomorrow. And you love a good lottery ticket, I know.
I sure do. I put 5 of them into play in the Millie yesterday. Felt pretty good about that. Updated all my rankings. I actually threw out a best ball tweet last night, because I'm like, maybe people care. But I had a lot of back and forth as far as like people that wanted to chat. They're like, I didn't know you were in best ball. Mainly because this is the span where, like, I think last year I didn't cover as much. I mean, years past I was maxing best ball. 2 years ago, I think it was, that I kind of like slowed down a little bit. Last year, didn't have any time with MLB. And this year, I'm just excited that you're going to be doing it, because I feel as though you're one of the trusted names in best ball, and one of the people that I think people go to the content of and gravitate towards, because, well, you're a lovely human being, but also you're extremely sharp in terms of your construction. You've also, same as me, made a lot of mistakes and maybe being overexposed to specific players at times. The Anthony Richardson one comes to mind, but I mean, best ball streets, we have 8 games. We'll have plenty of time to cover this, and I love this MLB slate. But anything you want to bring up about best ball coming in? Because I got all my rankings updated for my top 300, and I am ecstatic to be in the streets.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing to me, and just to make it short as possible, is that you're just really having the structure there every draft, balancing your draft capital accordingly, not going too heavy on your RBs or even your wide receivers at this point, especially on DraftKings where the ADPs are a little bit more balanced. But in general, building balanced teams, schedule releases coming out this week, at least theoretically from the NFL. So that's another important one to add in your week 17 correlations. Yeah, stacking, same thing as we do in DFS. You want to have your double stacks, triples, maybe quadruples even for some teams with the RBs involved. But really playing on DraftKings right now looks pretty good, because they're giving away a lot of extra entries and stuff at random times. So I was to talk more about that tomorrow, and I don't mean to be a shill in advance. But the DraftKings stuff has been really nice. Getting bonus entries on these tournaments, I think, is a big help.
Yeah, a huge help. And obviously I had some tickets, and I wanted to get a couple more fired off, and my wife was out for Mother's Day with her mom. And so allowed for me to just degen, have a little something on the couch, watching a little Last of Us and draft. It was beautiful. It was beautiful times last night. Genty far too high. 7 is pretty wild for Ashton Genty, but I mean, the opportunity is going to be there in spades. And Ashton Genty, as long as ball security is not an issue for him, he is very, very good at the running of footballs, Spags.
Yeah. And the offense should be better overall with bringing in, I mean, Chip Kelly, people might shit on it a little bit, but he was pretty good at Ohio State calling that offense last year, brought in Geno, paid big money to him. You got Bowers there evolving another year. There's a lot of good stuff going on there, but price tags for rookies are going to be a little bit high because people always imagine they're going to be the most special creature in the world. And in reality, probably a little too expensive for many rookies this year.
Eric is into everything. MVS. MVS doesn't go underneath everything. I have an abnormal obsession with MVS, and you know what? I got paid this year because MVS is a goat. Absolutely from the clouds. Nobody wants to click on it. Playing the Shaheed role. Oh yeah. Daddy likey a lot. Tutton to the moon, Lindy. No. I'm so anti-Tutton. It's unbelievable. That was
a new Bucky. There's only one Bucky.
It's only one Bucky, and everybody wants to make him Bucky, and he is not Bucky. I get it. You can have the same scheme, everything else. Bucky is Bucky, man. If you watched Oregon, you know. I thought Tutton's okay at Virginia Tech, but anywho, bro said MVS. I sure did. You don't even know. You don't actually want to know what I have invested into MVS in my life and what I have gotten out of it. I'm not even. We'll put it that way. But I'm ready to break down this slate. Are you, Spags?
I'm excited. I think we got some fun stuff to talk about.
Oh my God, there are so many pitchers, and there are going to be pitchers that these are obviously what I'm getting from the Sims. And there's going to be one guy, and we have zero of, that I am going to be well overweight to. So I'm excited about that because, again, it's kind of a no ball take, but I think it is a very, very interesting spot. But let's start at the top with a guy that I'm going to be overweight to when it's all said and done. His name is Michael King. If you needed to play one pitcher for cash, if you needed to play one pitcher on FanDuel, if you need one pitcher for anything, how about Michael King facing an entire lineup of righties on the Angels side outside of two bats? And they're not all that good, and they don't have all that much power. I mean, we're going to see Shanuel, and we're going to see Renifo at the bottom of this. I guess Yohan Moncada did bat second yesterday, so he could also be up there in that spot. But I mean, you get six righties, all the good bats from the right side here on the Angels, and Michael King has just been awesome against that side, like sub 0.9 whip on the year already. The strikeout upside is through the moon. I don't know what to tell you. Michael King is the best pitching option on this slate. I don't think it's close. And then SB2 is just all over the place for me. But I want to ask you, Spags, what do you think of Michael King, and why is it unequivocally yes?
Yeah, I don't think he's got blowaway stuff for the record, but I agree with you for this slate. He is a really great play. And obviously, you're going to know that going against the matchup here with the Angels. 3 implied runs going against Michael King today, which is your lowest on the slate. 7 guys in the projected lineup. It's not confirmed yet, but hopefully this will be the lineup we get. They strike at above league average against right-handed pitching, so 7 guys, you're most on the slate as well. The lineup's aggregate K rate's 26% as well. So there's a lot of good numbers going for Michael King here, and his stuff has been solid. Like Eric mentioned, versus righties in particular, 11.4 Ks per 9 over the last couple seasons compared to 9.5 versus lefties. So good marks versus both, but better marks versus the right-handed guys. And overall, 32.5% hard hit rate, also the lowest on the slate too. So he's not really giving up dangerous contact, if that even mattered. Given that he's in a park, that's going to be pretty favorable in terms of the park factors, helping out the pitching. So I'm with you. I think Michael King is a great play on the slate. I think sim-wise, the ownership maybe gets knocked down a little bit because he is projected for so much with about half the field expected to play him. But I think if you're playing cash, he's your first pitcher in. And I think if you're playing tournament lineups as well, he's probably the first pitcher you want to get to if I were hand selecting lineups like I did before the show.
Oh, MVS only goes off when Eric calls it. It's documented last season. Oh, again, the 1 week I can't even remember. I had a little bit the first, and then he just goes nuclear. And then I said, yep, this is when you click the all-in button. Back-to-back weeks. Didn't even think twice. People called it points chasing. I call it getting back to square.
He did owe you quite a bit from the 1 year he was on Kansas City.
Oh, yeah. Nothing like maxing out and not having a single touchdown the whole year. Most of it was like 2 or 3 catches in a game. And then you know what he did? He went nuclear week 1 of the playoffs, like the actual NFL playoffs. It was the most pain I've ever been in. But Michael King is not the conversation piece. I think if you want to hold hands with the field, however much you play of Michael King, as much or as little, it makes sense to me because there are a ton of SP2 candidates. Now, I want to start on the expensive side because I think the most interesting 2 that we're going to run into on the expensive side exist in Paul Skeens and Tyler Mahle. Mahle gets Colorado really nice strikeout bump for a guy who doesn't have a ton of strikeout stuff and has been getting by with the lowest ERA this side of the Mississippi, or I guess that side of the Mississippi. But Paul Skeens mother trucker, 9,700, 26.2% owned. And yet I'm not going to be overweight to him when it's all said and done. 31.33%. I mean, obviously, there are lots of reasons that Paul Skeens has got the best. I mean, he's got the best stuff going forward. And I would actually argue there's better stuff coming with a pitcher in the name of Bubba Chandler that is soon going to be up there with Pittsburgh. His stuff plus is going to be off the charts whenever he gets called up in Pittsburgh. Obviously, they don't have enough ammunition in the kitchen to compete this year. So Paul Skeens, Bubba Chandler, they're going to control this as much as they humanly possibly can and hopefully spend money 1 year and try to stack it for 1 year to actually win, because Tommy Pham ain't that. He's suspended for today. But how do you feel about these two expensive pitchers? Because I want to get there, but I don't think you need to get there today, Spags.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely prefer to get the expensive pitchers, and I think it's interesting to see that we have, half the ownership going to Paul Skeens. And we talked about earlier in the year, people just blindly playing Skeens because they knew the hype coming in and what he is as a prospect, and that hype's still there. But I think for the matchup today, not a great total either going against Skeens with 4 implied runs to the Mets. It's certainly not bad, but for a Paul Skeens game, it's a little more production you're expecting to see. And the Mets lineup is tough. 188 ISO versus right-handed pitching overall for the lineup, 115 WRC plus. They strike out under league average, 21.7% K rate in aggregate. It's not a great matchup for Skeens, while it is a good matchup for Michael King. So I certainly would favor King based on what we know. Sim-wise, though, it came out a little bit flatter for me. Technically, I'm a little bit above the field on Skeens and a good amount under on Michael King. So I think Skeens is your live Michael King pivot. It's just the matchup is tougher. And frankly, Skeens stuff, even though it's great, it's not been blow away good relative to the ownership, I think, so far this year.
Yeah, what's interesting about Paul Skeens, and again, I just want to be very careful with my web situation here with the old phone and not click on too many tabs. But I had a pretty deep dive on Paul Skeens last night, 260 x WOBA, 24.7% K rate. But what I find to be interesting is year over year, because again, last year we got to see what those pitches were. We got to see what the entire ensemble was. And I was curious what changes he was going to make, because after an entire year of everybody watching you, like, where does he land? And one thing I find to be interesting, and I think he's doing it on purpose, is I don't think he's throwing the gas as much right early in the season. 97.9 miles per hour. The velocity's down a full tick. And I think there's probably some sort of acceptance within Paul Skeens. Like, he won Rookie of the Year. He was the best dude. I mean, him and Jackson Merrill should have just split the award if we're being honest. But like, Paul Skeens was incredible last year. This is still a tough situation for Pittsburgh in the division that they're in the situation that they're in, that they're not spending money on the bats that they need. They're just kind of floundering as a baseball organization. O'Neal Cruz is obviously a great building block offensively, but I bet there's something where they're testing Paul Skeens out to try out different things, because they're going to just have control of him for a couple of years. They're going to also pay him forever. Otherwise, Pittsburgh will go underwater at this point in time. Like, they're just in love with the guy, as they should be. But he seems to be experimenting with like 5-6 different pitches. You look year over year as far as like what he utilized last year, what's happening. He's throwing the four-seamer a little bit less. He's throwing the split finger a little bit less. He's throwing the sweeper a little bit more. And it's just fractional differences. But I think between that and the velocity down, him mowing down 12 today and throwing at 100 miles per hour doesn't do anything for his profile going forward, Spags. And it's one of the things that I actually factor in early in this season. Maybe I'm just completely wrong about it. He's still a professional athlete. You still want to do your best, but like, staying healthy for Paul Skeens is the absolute priority for everybody involved right now.
I think that's totally fair. And it is, I think in some respect, we factored in the projection a little bit, because you do have a bunch of Mets players that drive at bats a little bit longer, a bunch of guys that take over 4 pitches per at bat, which is generally my metric for these guys are making at bat slots. And that's the top 4 guys with Lindor, Soto, Alonso, and Nimmo. So I'm with you on that. I think that Skeens, the risk of him getting hooked is always there. He is throwing more pitches per start than pretty much everybody in the slate at 94.2 pitches per start. And look, I think Skeens is a lot of great things. I just think that he needs to be, relative to what the ownership was, especially earlier in the year, like he needs to be so blow away good, untouchable, better than everybody in the league by a wide margin. And I'm not sure that's the case in general in the league, let alone on this slate where you do have a few guys with easier matchups of similar strikeout potential. So I like Skeens. I think the matchup versus the Mets, though, is not really the spot you want to get to if he's going to be 25% owned. If you're 10% owned, it's like, great, take the shot that his talent wins out over their talent, but he's owned more than appropriately. So your big benefit at this point is that you're getting half the ownership of Michael King.
Yep, that's the main thing for me. And again, I will be underweight to Paul Skeens when we get to lock. Just want that to be known because it's definitely a name recognition, and it should be. He's incredible, but there's also, I think, some really good contrarian options. And I said I absolutely love this slate today. I'm going to be playing more than normal on it because I think there are tons of great options, whether it's Grant Holmes in the mid-range, whether it's David Peterson there at 8,200 in that same spot. Lefties just destroying this Pittsburgh lineup. 26.3% K rate against lefties, fourth highest in baseball. And then adding into it a 65 WRC plus overall. It is problematic to say the least on a day in, day out basis whenever they face a southpaw. Then you've got Colin Ray, where I think he's in play in a great game environment to be pitching in. You've got Clark Schmidt in Seattle, where I think that's definitely a better environment. You've got Verlander, and then we'll save my guy for a little bit later here. Kikuchi in San Diego, not my favorite, but southpaw definitely going to be a little bit more effective against some of those lefties. We'll see if Jackson Merrill even makes the lineup, considering he was sick yesterday, but you got a pretty wide open mid-range. Sims really like Holmes, Peterson, and then adding in he's more expensive, Colin Ray as well. I like the Ray shout out. I think he's a little bit underpriced for this slate, but who stands out to you the most in the mid-range for your lineup, Spags?
I think it's David Peterson who I got the most of here. In 8,200, I think maybe a little bit of the higher end of the mid-range, but still projection-wise, over a 2x value in Stokastic projection with 17.1 fantasy points for him. Main thing for him is that he's facing a lineup where you have 7 guys that strike above league average and a kind of Falefa, who I think might also, but I can pull his numbers in because they weren't in Fangraphs. In the poll I had, basically not a good lineup here, like Eric mentioned, for Pittsburgh overall. 150 ISO collectively. It's not a good team to be going against left-handed pitching. And Peterson's stuff has been perfectly fine. He's a lot better versus left-handed hitting, as you might expect. 11 Ks per 9 there compared to 8.1 versus righties. And he's going to get mostly righties today, but still, like, it's not good righties going against him, so I'm not terribly concerned. Peterson, I think, is the guy on the slate where we talk about it every time out. You have guys that have really great stuff on slates, and you have guys that have really good matchups. Peterson is more really good matchup. Michael King, I would say, a combination of good stuff and good matchup. But Peterson here, good projection, good total going against him with only 3.2 implied runs. I think Peterson, unfortunately, looks like one of the better plays in the slate, even though he doesn't wow me with his stuff at all.
I definitely agree. Thank you to J Main 34 as well. I didn't get to upload all of the lineups in my sheet as normal. I'm just basically working off of another site to be able to pull all of my lineup stuff here at the moment. And you do have Jackson Merrill batting cleanup today against Kikuchi there, left on left. Although Kikuchi, he gives up power to everybody. He love is love if you say Kikuchi, or I say Kakachi. Anyway, we've
Kakachi. Let's call the whole thing off. There we go.
You don't like Kikuchi, you like Kakak. It's okay. Anyway.
Kakako. No, that's good. You got me there. You were due to get one on me at some point. It's like seeing the hitter break out of the 0 for 18 slump.
You land the plane finally. Little turbulence on the way. Not always that funny, but we tried. Yeah. Let's get to the one guy that I want to talk to you about more than anybody else on this entire slate. Merrill Kelly. I'm playing an irrational amount of Merrill Kelly today. First off, we all know the ballpark in San Francisco, pretty darn good for pitching. Can we list off a couple of things that Merrill Kelly's had to deal with and almost all Arizona pitchers have had to deal with? First off, weather's been better in Arizona. I know this because my folks are there. So I look at the weather and how many games they've attended where the roof's been open. You know how many that is? Pretty much all of them, unless it's a day game, like a Sunday afternoon game, in which case you kind of know that it's going to be closed ahead of time, just is what it is. But Merrill Kelly has been really good in that game environment. Still a .97 whip, 15 strikeouts and 23 2/3 is not ideal, but look at this murderer's row he's faced in Arizona. And I'm bringing it back to, I know he's in San Francisco. face the Cubs, Baltimore, Atlanta, New York. I would say these are all above average lineups. No, Spags?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of exit velocity in all those teams, which I'd say is one of your defining characteristics of a team that's smacking the ball around. So, yeah.
Now, let's bring out an outlier, which the second start of the season, he gave up 9, you heard it, 9 earned runs to the Yankees. That's not great. He was on the road, though, in Miami, in Chicago, and Philadelphia. This is just such a brutal start to your season if you're Merrill Kelly. I don't know how he avoided pitching against the Dodgers, but, I guess he's one of the guys who's just avoided pitching against the Dodgers because it's worked out in his rest days, or pitchers take 5-6 days. It is what it is. But Merrill Kelly's in San Francisco. Merrill Kelly, I think, had a pretty rough start to his season. But I just don't understand why he's pulling absolutely no ownership on this slate when it's the biggest park upgrade. San Francisco, they're middle of the road, 22.1% K rate against righties, 99 WRC plus, nothing fancy. But you get at the top of the lineup every single time out. A guy in Mike Yastrzemski who this year has found ways to just not strike out. But before now, he's been around a 26% strikeout guy for his career. I don't know what I'm missing here, Chris Spags, but I think Merrill Kelly's one of my favorite tournament targets we've had on a pitching slate in a long, long damn time.
No, it's an interesting take. I didn't get there with the sim. I think the projection of 11.5 at a $7,700 salary is a little bit tough when you have David Peterson being projected about 6 points higher at a few $100s more. But I could see the logic. I mean, Merrill Kelly, one thing he's doing particularly well, 39% zone contact rate's the lowest on the slate. And you actually have some legit pitchers on here. So he's avoiding contact when he does, attack the plate a little bit more. He also doesn't struggle with fly balls too much. A 35.5% rate is towards the better part of the slate. And it's something that would spook me a little bit is that the Giants, right now, 11 miles per hour wind blowing out there, also about 80% humidity. So it's not like a hot day. It's not Coors or anything, but the park's been playing hot to start the year with about a 2% positive park factor for runs scored. So maybe the weather there being a part of that again today, I think would maybe give me the slightest bit of pause. But, like you mentioned, the Giants lineup's not very good. And Kelly, his stuff isn't great, but it's not bad. 24% K rate overall, 9.3 Ks per 9 versus righties. So I could see your logic going there's a tournament option. And I would worry less about him with the wind blowing out than I would Verlander. Verlander giving up so many fly balls as he always has. So yeah, maybe you're onto something with Kelly. Low ownership there. And he's got some positives for him. There's a slate where there's good guys, though. So I think that's the part that would not make me go Kelly as much.
Yeah, I get it. There are really good guys, but I think he's actually going to fall into the category of one of those really good guys when you come towards season's end. He hasn't given up more than 3 earned runs in any. He's actually only given up more than 3 earned runs in one start. He gave up 9 to the Yankees, which inflates that ERA. He has a 1.05 whip, and I think the strikeout stuff is only going to improve. We've seen 9 strikeouts against Miami. We've seen 6 against the Mets last time out, which I find to be impressive with a ton of ground balls induced. It's just a case for a really low-owned pitcher on a slate in the best pitching ballpark over a 3-year rolling average in terms of run creation. And you bring up the wind too. It is a ballpark that is very, very built to mitigate that wind that always blows out towards center there, because they just really wanted to do a good job of keeping it muted there in San Francisco, because it's already at sea level and super cold all the time. Why not make it even more difficult? And everybody hates runs, so let's do it that way. That was a joke, but whatever. We definitely have other pitchers that we can talk about. I think Ryan Gusto's interesting, more than like a 2-3% guy, but once again, I'm not going to make a case for a lot of these guys outside of Kelly. Michael Wacha, he's a human that exists in the world. Justin Verlander's in that same game environment for a little bit less, but sitting around the same popularity there. Is there another contrarian pitcher that maybe you have your eye on for today?
I got a lot of Colin Rea today, $6,800 salary, getting him in 23% of my lineups, so almost 2x the field. He's another guy that, again, comparing to Merrill Kelly, where I see where Eric's going with that. I think Stokastic users today will get a good amount of Colin Rea with that projection and the total of only 3.2 implied runs for Miami. Soft matchup as well with 5 guys that strike out over league average, and it is Miami, so even the guys that are left that don't strike out above league average, not a lot of good guys. Rea's stuff is not that great. 39% chase rate, 9% swing strike rate. Towards the bottom part of today's slate, he does attack the zone a lot, 88% zone contact rate. So there's a shot that Miami guys can maybe get there a little bit more if they're able to put the bat on the ball. And you have a few guys here that are good enough with Edwards, with Augustine Ramirez. I would say Liam Hicks in the small sample size. These guys have hit righties well enough that maybe gives you a little bit of fear. But really sim-wise, I think it's hard to ignore Colin Rea. 23% feels like more than enough. But it wouldn't shock me, Eric, if people played a little bit more, because I think he stands out as your primary pay-up option for a Cubs team that can really beat up on crappier teams like Miami.
Yeah, I'm going to play some Colin Rea. I like him a lot. 6,800. I'll probably be a little bit north of the current 14.4 projection that we've got projected for him for ownership. So I'm definitely going to be a little bit interested in firing him up. That's for sure. Tyler Mahle, again, just a little bit more expensive there. We want to get to some of these expensive stacks. One in particular that I think J-Main showed up again. What about Jake Irvin? Does he pitch well today? I sure hope not. I like Atlanta quite a bit. So we'll take a look at why Jake Irvin in massive regression mode after last year, which was a little bit of an outlier based on pretty much everything that I was looking at for his pitch mix. He found ways of being successful without being successful last year. That is never the recipe that you're looking for. Throws just, I don't even know the right way to describe it, because if it weren't for some of his breaking pitches, he would be completely out of baseball. I'm not even a big fan of his primary curveball, even though it had a 181 batting average for it this season. He's had a 230 expected batting average. So negative regression due for him, and he's already been bad. Doesn't get a ton of swing and miss with a changeup, which is just a disaster against lefties if you hang that out there. So we're hoping he does to Matt Olson today.
Yeah, Irvin, 89% zone contact rate. I believe the highest on the slate, definitely one of the highest overall. And then the other part of it, which is I think one of the things that I would look at for people that like to look at advanced analytics, like on FanGraphs, and try to find these little things that might be a bit of an edge. He attacks the zone a lot. He doesn't get guys to swing and miss a bunch. Only an 8.5% rate, which is towards the bottom of the slate. 37% chase rate as well towards the bottom of the slate. So if you're attacking the zone against Atlanta, a team that can smack the ball around in a park that also is going to make it a little bit easier to do that, and you have a guy that can't get swing and misses, I think that's a recipe for a guy I wouldn't want to play. Even if the bats don't get there, like, he's going to probably be more stressful than you want to have on most slates.
Let's take a tour over to the FanDuel.com streets, because FanDuel needs love too. No discrimination here, Squirrel. We're going to keep going, and we got ourselves Michael King crazy popular, as he should be. I don't have a case for making another pitcher your cash game pitcher. You're just clicking on Michael King over there. If you're playing cash on FanDuel, Godspeed to everybody. But Michael King, 10-4. Mahle, 8,500. I get it. Colorado, definitely going to be better for his strikeout stuff. His projection looks pretty darn good. His chances of going 6 look pretty darn good. But Paul Skeens, 10-6. This might be a spot to maybe look at it and say, all right, what is it? 8% next to 39%. Yeah, we could probably find our way onto a little bit more Paul Skeens over on FanDuel. But I really like the idea of like Philly and St. Louis getting a little bit of Christopher Sanchez exposure over there. We don't have this game on the DraftKings slate. His strikeout stuff has been just electric boogie, woogie, woogie. His walk rate has been way down there in the doldrums, and his chances of going 6 coming off of Philly playing the last however many days here consecutively. Yesterday, utilizing a couple of the better bullpen arms in a case for winning, although it's a pretty rested bullpen for what it's worth. But Christopher Sanchez, he's just been good. 9,600, 6%. He's my favorite for FanDuel relative to ownership. Do you have one, or is it just Michael King all the way?
No, I mean, I think it's the same thing I always feel with FanDuel, where you tend on FanDuel to weirdly have, the one pitcher who's also mega chalk on DraftKings be your mega chalk on FanDuel. And then the ownership there compared to the top chance being a pitcher, or rather chance being a top pitcher, is always so incongruent. And for King, 39% ownership, 10.3% chance to be a top pitcher. It's the highest on the slate. Then you have Skeens at 7.3, David Peterson at 7.2, Christopher Sanchez at 7.2. I would just probably take King out and play more Skeens, more Peterson in particular, who's underowned and has a good shot to be a top pitcher. Sanchez as well, like Eric mentioned, same thing there. I would just take King's ownership and put it towards those 3 and see what you get.
All righty. We got our guy, Ryan Schindler, $5. We really, really appreciate you. 50K. I saw that baby over on X. It was so gorgeous. It was a beautiful, gorgeous, massive takedown. It sounded like I was going to also describe not Kikuchi. We'll put it that way. But just want to show my appreciation. Took down the big $5 PGA contest for 50K. I miss Eric and Ben's PGA content, but the tools are elite. Thanks. You are so very welcome. Hey, PGA Championship week. You never know. You never know if we decide that we just want to fire up some lineups. If I want to fire up the old playback, which will be available for the NBA show. I couldn't do it here with getting everything in line here with my internet, making sure that we're still good. I'm still existing. Haven't frozen. Life is good. But you guys want to be checking out everything in the Ben Raza streets, Jazz Raz DFS over on X. And then I guarantee I'll have something that I fire up for the PGA Championship in terms of content. I don't know if that will be alive before lock, but hey, doesn't seem like you need it, Ryan Schindler. The data doing the loads work, that's for sure. And it's going to be a lot of fun firing up PGA Championship lineups in that milling.
A lot of great golfers on Ryan Schindler's list, I'll tell you. I'll tell you that much.
I was waiting for it. I didn't know where you were going to go with it.
I mean, he has to hear that joke so many times.
I'm sure he's never heard that before.
Look, there's always so many Schindlers in the world. If your name is Schindler and it pops up, you prepare for a list joke. It's not too soon. It was a positive thing, no?
Let me list the reasons you should be checking out Portfolio EV so I can shut Spags up. 7-day free trial, everybody. You want to support this show. You want to give a little bit of love to Chris Spags. You want to give a little love to me. You want us to hang out so we can enjoy our Monday afternoons for the rest of eternity, or at least this MLB season, that's for sure. Maybe some NFL live before lock shows together. Ooh, we're fancy. Some things of that nature. Well, the best way to do it is also going to make you money. It is Portfolio EV. It's a 7-day free trial that is in the link below. Sign up now. Take advantage. The best market-based tools in the NHL, NBA, NFL, MLB, and so much more. I mean, it is just truly the best market-based tools that you can possibly find. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go check out G. Ehrenberg DFS. My guy Greg's threads every single day. My guy Nathan Joyce, ND_Joyce over on X. Go fire up their threads and see exactly what I'm talking about. Because if you're tailing that, if you're checking out their content day in, day out, it's better than following anybody else's content in the entire betting space right now, because it is forward-facing results, is based off of a data-driven method, and it is all from the Portfolio EV tool. So check it all out, friends. 7-day free trial down at the link below. And don't forget, we've got NBA Live Before Lock coming up 27 minutes after this. It'll be Josh Engelman and Greg Ehrenberg taking you down till the wire. We've got ourselves Boston, New York. And then I'm checking out. You best believe I will have Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks, or Leans, Lines, and Locks, as Chris likes to call it. That shit will be done before 10 p.m. Eastern time, because Daddy's going to watch some basketball. What?
I honestly forgot that it was actually likes, because like in my brain it's just been like betting lines. I thought was like where it's in my head. I forgot that the lines part was actually for Puppet Linquist, because he's talking about snorting lines. So that's my bad. Leans, Likes, and Locks. I learned something today.
I've only been doing the show like 4 years. Don't mind me.
Well, it's up late. It's past my bedtime.
Why?
If you wore a money hat more on him, you'd...
No, I was gonna say AI wanted me to be you today. That's what we learned. I don't know. I didn't even think about it until you put the comment there, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's the money hat," and didn't even process it. If I had, I probably would have changed
exactly
it to like a
the
big
AI version
eggplant
of
emoji on my hat. What?
You had a guy with like, I don't know who the other guy is, another betting expert with OddsShopper there doing picks with Eric. So check them out. I'm sure they're great picks. But he also had the black hat, and like he had the same thing that I wear every day. And also like I've done my AI versions on ChatGPT too. So I'm like, what the fuck, man? They're just giving us all the same money hat look. I don't appreciate it.
I guess when you say to AI, hey, I would like money symbols around the image, and it puts it on the hat just randomly.
Yeah,
I guess that's the first thought that goes into mind. But you were the OG. We all know it. Wasn't trying to steal.
I'm not AI. I'm all real, baby. These are all natural.
I'm on my last $27 of my wife, or my wife is leaving. You know, Spags and I call that the dream. We call that the dream.
If you get away from that cheap, it's like the old what is that, Bronx Tale? You know, you get this guy in your life for $20. That's something. So there you go.
Your internet goes out one time, and all of a sudden I'm ready to pack it up and move to remote Arizona, live in the wilderness, have a satellite dish that gives me internet, and just never be around people again, specifically my wife.
You got red pilled real fast there. You became
a
vol cell.
Hey, don't call me. I'm going to be on a show using my phone Wi-Fi. 1 minute into this show, I love my wife very much. She's lovely. Not today. All right, let's continue on our merry way. So much to cover. So much little. We got so many stacks. But there's no doubt, Spags, if there was one stack to rule them all, one stack to find them, I think if you look at your screen, it seems as though the Sims, sort of like the Texas Rangers against this Chase Dollander fellow who is a top prospect, but 22 years of age, and throws a flat fastball really fast, which I don't know if you knew this. If you throw an object hard that way, that doesn't move, and somebody is skilled at making contact with it, it's going to go really far the other way.
Yeah, and he's been having that a lot. 89.1 exit velocity, which to his credit is flat average, but 16.5% barrel ball rate so far, 284 average given up, 45.1% hard hit rate. He's not missing bats either with only a 40% chase rate, 10% swing strike rate. Last time we had Dollander on a slate, I did say like he's so bad that he can't be this bad forever. And that is something with pitchers that sometimes you hit them on the right spot where you get that pitcher, you play him, they have a good day. Dollander's stuff has been so bad that I think he's an easy pick to get in here. And sim-wise, he is the most Texas going against him. The most exposed team I've had in terms of five-man stacks from the sim. Getting 27% five-man Texas stacks, getting double-digit as well on four-mans, getting 12% four-mans, 11% three-mans. They're my most stacked team for every possible type of stack. I got so much Texas that I am sure that Dollander is due to have a good day today. But I'm going against him heavy. Played Noah Dollander, playing a ton of Texas. They are your number one sim team. But Eric, that sometimes goes with the game theory of these DFS slates where we have a lot of people using Stokastic's tools. Maybe Texas gets a little bit overowned as a result because of the fact they are coming up like really impossibly well sim-wise.
Yeah, no Seager in that lineup. No Seager, but you get Jake Berger up there, who's back in our lives, 2.8K, batting 7th there. You've got, middle of the order, but you've got Evan Carter, 3.5K. You've got Wyatt Langford, 2.5K or 5.2K. He's your really only expensive bat. Everybody else is like 4K and under against Dollander. I mean, that's the reason that they are just showing up ad nauseum. I think if you're going to play Skeens overweight, if you're going to be playing as much Michael King as I anticipate, Texas will more than likely be my highest owned stack when it's all said and done. I mean, they have 12.2% top stack percentage. They're the second highest owned team, a little bit lower than Chicago, which is surprising, although Cal Quantrill does suck. It's just not the best hitting weather, and I think people recognize that. But is there a stack? I mean, we've got right now Texas, Chicago, Atlanta, which is definitely my priority on today's slate. Is there a stack at the top of the top stacks tool that you fancy the most?
I mean, it just has to be Texas mathematically. Besides them, yeah. I did go out of my way to get some Braves. I like the Cubs more than the Stokastic sim does. I only got 2% Cubs, but Braves is an easier talking point because the sim does like them. 11% five-man stacks I was getting for Atlanta here. As we talked about for Atlanta before, got a lot of guys in the lineup that actually are hitting the ball extremely well. You have 4 of the top 5 guys hitting the ball over 90 miles per hour in terms of exit velocity. So that's a metric that I tend to look at for lineups being good. But Riley, Olsen, Ozuna, I think that top 3 looks good. Harris, I don't mind. Verdugo hitting the 1 hole. You're going to get him some as well. But really the 2 through 6 here, I got a lot of stack wise, including Sean Murphy at catcher. And I think they look good. We talked about Irvin before. He attacks the plate. He's not good at getting strikes. It's kind of team that, versus Atlanta, or time of pitcher rather against Atlanta. If the ball starts to fly a little bit, that he can get really beat up fast. So Atlanta would be my number 2, but still a good gap behind Texas.
Yeah, playing a lot of Texas. I mean, everybody's simming really, really well. Our average 39.1% simulated ROI coming in on them. I mean, all these 5-mans at the top are so much Texas. And then filler, Houston around. I find that to be a little bit intriguing as well, going up against Michael Wacha. Because Michael Wacha, I mean, he's had reverse splits once upon a time. Now he's just giving it up to lefties, but nobody else. And I have no idea what to make of it. All I know is that negative regression is definitely due for him. 3.76 expected ERA that he has right now would be his best mark since 2017 when he was sitting there with a 3.98. He's actually only had one season better than 3.76, and that was 3.74 expected ERA. I do expect the power to show back up, the max exit velocity off the bat to show back up against some teams. And one thing about these teams in the AL Central, they just beat up on each other and they're not very good. I mean, he's faced Cleveland, he's faced Minnesota, he's faced Detroit, he's faced the White Sox. I mean, those have been 5 of his starts this season. That is significantly worse than what he's going to face in some of these other teams. So Houston with a short box to left. Let's go. Let's get down with ourselves and get a little Michael Wacha attacking in our lives. Do you like any Houston bats? Because again, the Sims, definitely something that I can back here, considering it's a lot of my primary stacks in some of these top lineups.
Yeah, I got a good amount of four-man Houston stacks with 6% there. They're one of my higher owned four-man stack teams. A little bit less than five-mans, but still average amount, 5.3% there. So they'd be, I think, mine 3 or 4 overall. Walk, I agree. Like, he's benefited from some positive matchups. Was big on board with him when he faced the White Sox because that's going to happen when anybody faces the White Sox. But for Walker himself, the stuff's not that great. Only a 21.3% K rate over the last couple seasons. 8 Ks per 9 versus righties, 8.1 versus lefties. It's not great numbers there. And he's facing a lineup that only has 3 guys that strike out above league average, 4.3 implied runs against him. Not really the Waka spot I want to go to. And like Eric mentioned, the Crawford boxes out in left field, definitely something as well that a guy like Waka can give up some longer shots to with the high fly ball rate. He's got 42% overall, 46% of the left-handed bats. And that he's facing a bunch of them, but still something that might matter for any subs, pinch hitters that come in. I think Waka's had good results this year, but I don't think he's great. So I think Houston's fine, and they came up a good amount sim for me sim-wise, even though, again, nowhere near Texas, nowhere near Atlanta.
Yep, nowhere near Texas, nowhere near Atlanta. Atlanta team I'm going to get more of. I'll definitely straddle the difference. I'm going to bring down 61% Texas before the end of this. That is for sure. Although I would be surprised if they are not, by far, my highest owned stack against Dollander. But I do have interest in a lot of contrarian teams that I will want to get a little bit more of. I'm looking at Arizona. I'm looking at San Diego. I'm looking at the Yankees, brought them up with you a little bit beforehand because Emerson Hancock is not very good. Anybody that you really want to get to from a contrarian standpoint on today's slate? Because once again, we have tons, I think, of viable pitching options, but that also creates tons of viable contrarian stacks.
Yeah, I like the Yankees. I think they're one that stood out to me because of the matchup with Hancock. Hancock giving up a 275 batting average overall the last couple years, 282 to righties. Will be facing a good amount of them, but still 270 lefties. Lineup's pretty balanced so far for the Yankees, so I think that could be fine for both hitters or both sides of the plate for the hitters coming up. But for Hancock, just not a lot of good stuff overall. 9% chase rate, 9% swing strike rate, 40% chase rate, 233 ISO allowed to righties as well. Like Aaron Judge made it a good amount as a one-off in my lineups. 23% of him in the sim. I like getting the entire lineup here because I think people will get Judge naturally, but they're probably not going to get some of the other bats around him who also have similar ability to hit the ball deep. In particular, I'd say Ben Rice, Goldschmidt, Grisham, that top 4, I think all can hit the ball pretty well with high exit velocities. So I like the Yankees to get them out. Think they're a team, again, I'd prioritize them, the Cubs, the Yankees, Texas, and the Cubs were 3 teams I kind of went out of my way to get more stacks from. But sim-wise, Yankees not coming up a bunch. So I think that does spook me a little bit with the Yankees.
Yeah, it spooks me a little bit, but I'm definitely going to find a path to get to a couple of them here. Not good 5-man stack ROI, that's for sure, but let's be serious. Aaron Judge, any day ending in Y, Ben Rice, Trent Grisham, anybody at the top of that Yankees lineup, I think will pair very nicely with Texas actually as a secondary stack. And so I'm a little bit more concerned about their 3-man stack ROI, which isn't exactly great, but it's a little bit better than the 5-man. I think there's just no doubt a day ending in Y, Aaron Judge in a ballpark that people might not think, oh, you want to get there. It's only like 79 at bats, but he's got like a 1.2 OPS. He's going to have stupid numbers at a lot of ballparks because he's Aaron Judge, but it's still pretty neutral for homers, even though for righty power, it's definitely a lot worse than lefty power. Don't know what to say. It's freaking Aaron Judge and he's lower owned for once. Like let's probably play that.
Yeah, he's been, I mean, the last couple seasons for him have been so good. He's always, he and Ohtani, the 2 guys on my sheet, always stand out as like, the greenest in every category, but 470 OBP for him over the last couple seasons, 96.1 exit velocity, which is crazy high, 5 miles per hour higher than other guys who'd be good at that power. Like he do some damage against the park right now. It's playing for 10% more home runs, according to the StatCast park factors for the year.
Yeah, it's been a little bit better. I mean, it definitely helps to basically just be neutral to every other ballpark right now with some of the weather. It'll heat up other places. Seattle stay pretty neutral and we'll see it come down a little bit, but totally makes sense to me at the moment, Spags. Totally makes sense to me. Is there anything else from a stack perspective on DraftKings that you really want to cover? Anybody that you're way underweight to? Because I've got a couple of uncomfortable ones, but it's headlined, no doubt, by the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah, so I got not a lot of Cubs with the sim, with the hand-selected lineups I did before the show, which I'll tweak a little bit when we get off here. I only got 2% 5-man stacks of the Cubs, and the Cubs have been very good. I know it's a thing that somebody in the chat a couple of weeks ago when he had a Cubs game on a slate, they didn't have a great implied total, had a good pitching matchup going against them, and they're like, well, the Cubs keep getting there, and like, you're right, the Cubs keep getting there. It's not the reason to go to the Cubs. It's because they're going against Cal Quantrill, who's so bad, giving up a 280 batting average overall last couple years, a 296 batting average versus righties. If you gave that up, you're talking about one of the best hitters in the league, and that's what he's giving up on average overall. doesn't get strikeouts, doesn't get guys to swing and miss, does attack the zone at a high rate at 88% as well. And the contact there is a little bit low, but frankly, with this Cubs team and how they've been hitting, those guys can make it work as well. So I like the Cubs, but the sim hates them, Eric. So how do you feel about the Cubs?
I am definitely going to be anti-Cubs today. It's brutal hitting weather. It's blowing in, and obviously that's already being encapsulated by sports books. But for whatever reason, it is not being picked up by DFS players. And Cal Quantrill is not good. He's terrible. I mean, 92 mile per hour average exit velocity off the bat, 11.3% barrel percentage, 519 expected slugging, absolutely no strikeout stuff, and facing a team that has moved Pete Goat Armstrong up to the top of this lineup yesterday, and it's just going to come to fruition. The kid is the chosen one. He is so damn good at baseball defensively, always been there. One of the fastest players in baseball, definitely the fastest on this team. And I think them moving him up to the top of the lineup just speaks towards that same point. I mean, there's no doubt Pete Crow Armstrong is insane. And I'll get to a little of him, a little Kyle Tucker, but I find it very difficult to, in this game environment, want a full five-man stack with this kind of ownership coming in on them. And it would appear, I mean, our projections, if you just go player by player on each guy, which I guess we can do because I'm on this show and it's allowed. Let's just go towards, we'll go to the projection page here, not to this. But look at the Cubs. If we just filter it out by the Chicago Cubs team, and we just want to have CHC, we've got Kyle Tucker at 11, Pete Armstrong at 10. What do I need any of these other guys as far as a stack? We've got sub 9, sub 8, and you are getting no discount on Suzuki, no discount on Horner, who, has stolen base upside, but you're really not going to get there with power. Michael Busch, Carson Kelly is 5,300, 7.2. I mean, these projections, just at a glance, Spag, they're way down there relative to some other teams on the slate that are way cheaper.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big reason I would go to the Cubs and try to get there is because of just how bad Quantrill has been. And that's really the main thing to me here. And frankly, how well the Cubs have played, even in weather conditions that for the most part for Wrigley are not looking good. The park factors for the Cubs right now, and I don't think it's going to hold up, but 2% positive park factors overall, 4% more runs at Wrigley than elsewhere, 77% more triples, which doesn't really matter, but kind of an odd thing. Maybe that levels out. That's probably the thing most likely to level out, in fact. But you have fast guys up top. You mentioned Crow Armstrong with his 7% stolen base rate. I think that, getting Crow Armstrong and Tucker as one-offs, maybe a two-man stack involved with something, that seems fine. But I think people are going to get that a good amount because you're talking about 18% ownership for Crow Armstrong, 22% for Tucker. You could fade the stack, or I think you can add a few guys on and hope you get Suzuki, who's really expensive, so I could see not playing him. But Busch, Kelly, I mean, pricey stack, bottom of the order, a little bit less pricey. I think there's ways to make the stack work, and I just don't think people are going to play the five-man enough because the sim's not giving it to you. And I don't know if the ownership's going to be as high as it is projected right now.
Okay, if it comes down, that's definitely useful. Bruh, it's the Cubs and it's Cal Quantrill. Totally get it. But there's also Dollander on this slate with guys that are half the price of everybody 3 through 9 that I'm talking about here relative to the Cubs 3 through 9. I think the five-man's just a little bit more attainable. And as I said before, I'm going to play Pete Armstrong. I'm going to play Kyle Tucker. So don't worry. I will get my exposure to two lefties at the top of that lineup, and I'll feel just fine about that. But let's finish this thing out. We'll jump over to the FanDuel side in a second. We'll give our dongs of the day. Dun, dun, dun. I'll let you sing it if you guys hit the like button. We're only at 99 likes. My internet came back for the main house, but I'm not taking this thing off. That's for damn sure. Anything else on the DraftKings stack side that you wanted to cover? Colorado showing up a little bit for me. They've got better five-man stack ROI, but I think we covered this one pretty much in depth.
Yeah, I mean, got a little bit of Rockies, a little bit of Angels. I guess the Mets are the one. I'm surprised by the amount I got. Got 7%, actually 7.5% of five-man stacks on there. You're getting that leverage against Skeens, and Skeens, like we talked about, maybe not as great as the perception is this year. Stuff is really good. He's not an unbeatable giant, I think, for the Mets and how their lineup has been. So getting some Mets at the sim, and that would not be a choice I would make myself. But whenever the sim gives you something, you got to kind of note it.
Yep, got to note it. We're going to jump to, I guess, FanDuel. There we go. I'm going to just click on this because I think this is a better way to talk about the stack construction and what we're kind of looking at. We all know Michael King, FanDuel, going to be crazy popular. He should be crazy popular, but there's some interesting pieces here. I think you can get away from Texas a little bit easier over on FanDuel, although Jock Peterson, 2,300. Everybody wants to talk about him. I've seen him talked about ad nauseum on X and then here in the chat as well. Can people actually click on Jock Peterson and feel comfortable about it? I think you totally can today, just knowing that Jock Peterson has to get better or he'll just be out of the league at this point. And they have not demoted him in the lineup order the same way that they have with Simeon, the same way that they have Adolis Garcia. They are standing pat with Jock Peterson in the 3-hole. I think he's just fine, and I could see him coming in a little bit lower, but at 2,300 on FanDuel, that might be a piece that you can undercut and get to another stack if you're not going to play Texas. Is there a stack or an individual player here on FanDuel as I'm clicking through this ownership that stands out to you? Because there's one that stands out big time to me for FanDuel purposes.
Yeah, I mean, I think the ownership on Texas seems about right on FanDuel. Atlanta stands out to me a little bit more, 8.7% chance of being a top stack. Not a lot of ownership coming there with only 8.3%. So out of all the top stacks, you're the only one that's positively leveraged. I like Atlanta a good amount, as I mentioned. They're one of the teams that I did go out of my way to get a good amount of, even though the sim naturally liked them anyway, so I didn't have to work too hard for that one. But Atlanta stands out to me for sure because there's a little bit underowned for what the potential is. Their second highest chance to be a top stack today on FanDuel.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Atlanta on FanDuel. Stuff like this, 2, 3, 4, 7. Again, just getting 4 Atlanta bats. Jake Irvin is terrible, horrible, no good, very bad. And this is going to be an opportunity, I think, to get to an Atlanta squad. I mean, there's even some ancillary pieces at the bottom of the lineup. I'll definitely want to mix and match over on FanDuel. I'm playing both sites. Again, I absolutely love today's slate. I think it's probably one of the better ones we've had. Verdugo at 2,900, really low down there. Obviously, you don't get the home run upside, but I don't mind incorporating him here to trim some of that ownership. It is a very valuable outfield spot. These 4 spots, day in, day out, matter a lot. So there is that. But overall, this is an Atlanta team that I find it very difficult entering this slate not to want to have a ton of them in some capacity. So as you're building over here in the single lineup sim, one of the more underutilized tools, I believe, here at Stokastic as well. Everybody knows about the sims. Everybody knows about the sims. They are the best in the entire industry, but the single lineup simulator itself, being able to build lineups and then be able to run the simulation specifically on that, to be able to save the lineup, name the lineup, whatever you want to, and continue on your merry way, extremely valuable. But I'm glad you threw out Atlanta. Definitely my favorite FanDuel stack, and I would definitely prioritize it above Texas for FanDuel purposes, where you're only playing the 4 bats. You'll still be able to find a piece of value if you need it from the Texas side, but I would probably be getting away from it a little bit more over there, and I probably will be because I'm playing over there today. All right, my friend, how many likes do we have? We got to get over 150. Can we get over 150? Nah, I'm a shill. We're going to do it.
People should do it. They should do it for you. Oh, God. Okay. Dog of the day. You didn't give me any notice. Dog of the day. Dog of the day. It's the dog of the day. Dog of the day. Yeah, this time a dong will explode out of Eric's mouth. It's the dog of the day. Dog of the day. Cha, cha, cha. New lyric in there.
You're so proud of yourself.
I thought of it before the show, exploding out of your mouth as opposed to in. I thought
that's like when somebody eats a new dessert that they've never had before, or it's like maybe even like a regular dessert, and they're like, it's walnuts. It's delicious. Didn't expect that. Are those walnuts in there? That's great. That's my cum, apparently. Anyway, we've got the dong of the day. According to Chris Spags, that was not from me. I want to make that perfectly clear. Also want to let you know I love my wife. Chris Spags, any dong in the entire land is up for your choice. Who is going to go yard for the people tonight?
All right. I have so much Texas. I do have to stick with Texas, I think, for my pick here. Definitely higher ISO going to the left-handed side of the plate. You know what? All right. So there's 2 fun picks. I think there are lefties up top in this one. And with all the talk about him, I feel like this would be appropriate. How about Jock Peterson, who the longer-term sample size still not that bad? So that's fun, right? We got 92 miles per hour of exit velocity for him, 17-degree launch angle, right where you need that home run spot to be. He's probably due for some positive regression. If anybody's going to give it to him, it's got given up a 284 ISO, 286 ISO actually. To left-handed bats, 290 batting average, fly ball rate of 49%. If Jock can't do it today, Eric, he should be out of the league. That's my declaration.
Yeah, he's definitely struggled. We've all seen it. We've all witnessed it. Positive regression is in store. Yeah, as I said, he'll just be gone. He's batting third. There's less DH risk when you have Seager out of there, purely because there's already going to be inserted one player that could potentially have pinch hit for him. He's just kind of your permanent DH out there. But you brought it up. I mean, despite a 199 expected batting average, which looks horrible, I think the batted ball profile is still much better than what the results have been. That usually those are the kind of guys that I want to get to. I like Wyatt Langford as well. I won't go to Texas just because I think we've made it pretty clear that Texas is one of those teams that we want to get to. But I don't know if you noticed this earlier, Spags, but did you look at the Aaron Judge ownership?
It's like 20%, 23.
Sub 20% for Aaron Judge, 6,500.
Okay,
the guy's hitting like 400. He's doing everything on a baseball field with a bat. Like, he's doing absolutely everything. He's been a great defender too, for what it's worth, but 57.8% hard hit, 16-degree launch angle, 785 expected slugging. And there are slates where we've had Ohtani or Judge or things like that. The Sims, it'll just jam it as a one-off. Guess what? He's definitely going to be somebody I want to be north of that 20% number on when it's all said and done. I think he's like the best one-off play that we've had in a long, long damn time. There's just no way his ownership can get out of whack in Seattle. And it's Emerson Hancock. So we're going to I'm going to take him for once. I'm going to take the chalky guy. Aaron Judge goes yard for the people at lower than it should be ownership. No, Eric, that's not fair. Hey, here's the thing. Spag took him for years. You can't triple stamp a double stamp. You can't triple stamp a double stamp. You can't pick Judge.
It's not accurate.
I just picked Judge.
Look, I mean, the dong exploded out of your mouth, and if something's going to explode, it's the guy with the highest exit velocity on the slate. So Aaron Judge, big man, wielding a big bat. It's the kind of guy that Eric likes.
Let's see. We've got ourselves a couple of other people. Jake Berger, Adolis Garcia to dong. Oh my God, Texas is going to be so popular. Again, they should be completely popular. There's nuts, that's for sure. But I'm going to leave with this. Gary Gregg said it's the best show in forever, at least for the next 2 minutes before Josh and Greg take over for NBA Live Before Lock here on the Stokastic YouTube channel. But best show in forever, that seems pretty good, Spags.
No, I'm happy to hear that. Love the kind words. Appreciate all you guys watching with us here. Obviously, we have a lot of fun whenever we can, but hopefully there's some good advice and nothing else. Follow the Sims when our takes fail.
Yeah. Sam Van Dam, $2. Sorry I was late. You're just in time because otherwise I was going to hit end stream. $2, 7,100 under. Who's your favorite pitcher down under? Colin Ray, I think, for both of us.
Yeah, Colin Ray. I mean, you can't go Merrill Kelly because he's a little bit too expensive. So yeah, Colin Ray, I think, is pretty clear with that one.
Not to be confused with Morena Del Ra, the Californians. It's always good. That was an SNL joke that wasn't.
No, it's good. The Californian skit. I know. It's a good voice.
You didn't like it. I could tell it on your face. You were upset.
I was upset. I miss California so much. It takes me back.
Fuck off. He's Chris Spags, everybody. Go follow him at Chris Spags. He's my dude. He's going to start some best ball goodness, but go follow him at Splash Play over on YouTube's as well. Any final words for the people as we get out of here?
No, good luck to everybody out there. Appreciate Eric as always being the best co-pilot I could ask for on these, or the best pilot really. If we're going to go by the rehearsal kind of scheming of things, he's the pilot. He needs to talk to me more. We need to communicate better. But check out my show tomorrow, 3 p.m. Basketball DraftKings on the channel. It's going to be a partnership that goes on hopefully all summer. We're doing those on Tuesday and Thursday for now at 3 p.m. So check it out, and appreciate all you guys hanging. And Eric, again, we're gritting through the poor connections and wifely distractions. That's what we root for.
Now, we overcome. We got ourselves Portfolio EV 7-day free trial down below. But don't forget, friends, it is Josh Engelman, Greg Ehrenberg. Coming up next, NBA Live Before Lock. He's Chris. I'm Eric. And that's Puppet Lindquist. We out, yo.